Hello, this is Valhalla.com, as you can see in the address bar of my Firefox web browser. Valhalla.com is the home of Valhalla MUD, or as it's rather confusingly titled, Valhalla MUD Engine at the top there. But this is the home of Valhalla MUD, and then you see that scrolling banner where it also confusingly says Valhalla MUD is DikuMUD IV. And this is true. And why it has two names is, I'm actually not sure. But this game is, well, it's the same code I learned today from a previous comment in the game's Discord. Is the what is it? I'm screwing this up. Well, it is inherited the code from the very first DikuMUD, which launched in 1991. It was released by computer science students at the University of Copenhagen in 1991, and the computer sciences department there, the acronym for it in Danish, I guess, is Diku, or Diku, and so they called the game they had made while students there, they called it DikuMUD, and it went through a few major revisions. What was surprising to me when I was reading about this game on Wikipedia is that it said DikuMUD III was released in 2020. So one of those former students, and it was specifically, it was specifically Michael Seifert, was still working on the game and released a major revision, almost 30 years later. And what that revision did was added, and I asked him about this. I got to chat with him today, which was a little mind-blowing. And that revision added HTML5 and WinSock support, and basically enabled a web-based version, so you can play it right through the website, which is what this entrance screen here will do. He also mentioned to me that he's been working on making it work with a screen reader, and the first time I played one session of this game before, just taking a look at it, and I accidentally clicked the screen reader link. I don't know why. I was not thinking clearly. I don't know what I thought. Anyway, a screen reader would be for the computer to read the text on the screen to you if you, for instance, are blind or something, so that in theory a blind person could play the game and just have their computer read the text coming in, because it is a text-based game. But he said that he's been unable to get screen readers to work. They just don't read streaming text that comes up the screen. They don't parse it very well. So he's been a little disappointed with how that's gone. But if you do this, so this is the screen reader view. You'll notice there's a blank white section on the right-hand side, and I didn't really know what to make of that. And then the text output on the left-hand side. Well, if you click the Enter Valhalla without the screen reader part on it, you actually get stuff in the right-hand side. So there's this UI. It's kind of a standardized UI. You'll see a lot of MUDs these days have a UI that looks like this. There are also just third-party MUD clients that you can use, and you log into through Telnet to a MUD, and that's just giving you, command line, text input through Telnet, and then the MUD client will transform that into maps and stuff that it all generates based on the text input that comes in, and hit point bars and so forth. So I'm going to be playing, or trying to play DikuMUD. I'm still at the beginning, and I'm just trying to do the first quest that actually has combat, I think. But I'm going to babble for a while about DikuMUD and Valhalla MUD and so forth. So if you want to get to the actual gameplay part, use the chapter browsing feature of your YouTube and skip ahead to the chapter where I'm actually playing the game. So yeah, this game came out in 1991. I found it. I'm going to put links for these things I'm talking about in the description of this video. There's a YouTube video that talks about the impact that DikuMUD had on the multi-user dungeon. Is that what it stands for? On the playing field of at the time. It was not, of course, the first MUD. The first MUD was just MUD, and that came out in '78, produced by Richard Bartle, who was a student at the University of Essex. He had taken over the coding of that game from another student whose name I have not memorized, unfortunately for me. And his emphasis, I think, the sad thing is there's nowhere that is still running that original MUD, which is now referred to as MUD 1. Bartle would go on to make another MUD, which I'm not sure if it was called this at the time, but is now referred to as MUD 2. That one is no longer running either, I don't think. When I was looking all this up, I knew the name of Richard Bartle because he was actually, there's a good interview with him and some other folks in an episode of the podcast called Roguelike Radio, which is mostly about roguelike games, but roguelikes are text-based games, or they were originally, and many of them still are. And MUDs are text-based games. So there's a sort of cross-pollination there. And anyway, they ended up having this interview with Richard Bartle, and also a developer of the MUD called Armageddon, which I have since come across in my little exploration of MUDs that I did this week. Bartle's emphasis in his first MUD, I imagine, but definitely came across in this interview, was on the language, using language as a way to interface with a game. And so, the sort of breakthrough of these MUDs was you could type in pretty plain English what you wanted your character to do, and the game would be able to parse that and make the action happen. And he talked about how mind-blowing that would be. He'd be showing the game to people, and they would say, like, well, what do I do? There's no buttons, there's no there's nothing to click on. How can I control this? And he'd say, just type what you want to have happen. They're like, what? It's like, yeah, there's a troll there. If you want to fight the troll, just type kill troll. And they'd be like, well, that'll work. And it's like, try it. And they would do it and they would work. So he liked this idea of language as the means of interface. And he also liked, I think, more of an emphasis on using language and perhaps on role play. The developer of Armageddon, she very much emphasized the way Armageddon MUD enabled some really intense and interesting role play among the players. And so I think the focus of MUDs early on was more on language and role play. What this other video I came across on YouTube, where it was talking about DikuMUD's role in developing the field and in leading to what would be games like EverQuest and MMOs and things like that, was a DikuMUD. And I think Wikipedia's entry on DikuMUD also mentions this, is that I think Wikipedia says there were two things the students who wrote DikuMUD wanted to do with their MUD. They wanted it, I think it was something about having the code be cleaner and easier to work with, or easier to read, or something like that, I think. And also having more of a Dungeons and Dragons feel to it. So what that meant, I guess, was more of an emphasis on combat, or maybe making combat more interesting and more of a focus of the game. and that style, I guess, is referred to. For instance, it's referred to this on the site mudstats.com, where I found a lot of links to MUDs. I was just looking at mudstats.com before I started recording. Mudstats.com says there's something like 745, or maybe there's more than that, active MUDs that it's tracking. That's a lot of MUDs. And we aren't even in, kind of the heyday of MUDs really anymore, because everything's gone graphical and so forth. But there's still, mid 700s of these things out there running. And maybe that's more than ever. I'm not sure. Mudstats also reports that, as far as it can tell, there's generally about 8,000 people at any one time logged into a MUD, some kind of MUD somewhere in the world. 8,000 people, and I think it was something like 5,000 of those people are playing a fantasy MUD, and Valhalla or DikuMUD is a fantasy MUD. So what I pick up from this reading and watching is that DikuMUD had this innovation in the field of bringing in more intense and developed combat to the medium, I guess you could say, and also it was a game engine in effect that other people could take and use to make their own different MUDs. And so there were a number of MUDs, and I'm not sure how many are still running now, that used the DikuMUD engine to make their own MUD with. And there's a time where DikuMUD was selling licenses to the code, so you could, perfectly legitimately take their code. The game is open source, and then, make your own commercial game out of it. Of course, this was back in the day when MUDs could get away with charging money for people to play their game. That has kind of gone by the wayside. There are some MUDs now, like even the biggest MUDs. I think according to Mudstats, the biggest MUD is one called Dragon Realms, for instance. And that one used to be, I think, all pay to play, but now it does have a free to play option. But it does still have pay to play options if you want more access to more, like you can make more characters on your account and stuff like that. I don't know, I didn't look into it because I can't afford to pay. So, but Valhalla MUD is well, I'm not sure. At one point they adopted the name Valhalla MUD for DikuMUD, but maybe they just thought that would be more attractive to people, because not everybody knows that DIKU is the acronym for the University of Copenhagen Computer Science Department, and nor would they particularly care. Valhalla is kind of cooler, and it has that Scandinavian reference there, so it's a pretty good name choice, I suppose. Now, the website, so parts of this website is you can tell just by looking at it here that it's an old website. It's got this HTML 1.0 or Web 1.0 look to it, which is basically where my web development history lies as well. So I guess I sort of appreciate that. Works perfectly in the latest Firefox and Chrome, it says. You wonder what they mean by latest there. There are a couple useful parts of the website that I've found, but also a lot of outdated parts, and even parts with just missing images and so forth. But let's see, this left menu is a little confusing too, because watch, I'll click Information Desk and the buttons will transform into different buttons, but they'll look otherwise the same, and it's easy to get lost. So the Information Desk has that old stock animation, which is not reassuring. There's message board links that don't go anywhere. There's newbie help, which has missing images, but there is help files, and I think this was the useful looking thing. So this is just a list of all the game commands and other elements in the game, which is potentially useful. Like a quit command. Usage. Quit makes you leave the game. Saves all your inventory, blah, blah. So that could be useful. Also, I think it was, well, help files. That's this, right. More information gets to yet another submenu. Clans is, I think these were like groups of players. Yeah, it must have been. I'm not sure if these are the currently active ones. I mean, we've just got like these like clip art GIFs in here. It's crazy. Socials is a list of, hey, there's a fart command. Actor position, recipient position dead? What? I don't know, but I think these are basically emotes that you can use with other players. That's quite a bit of emotes. Submit a social. Is that like suggesting an emote? I don't know. There's also a FAQ, which, wait, what was it about? Oh, well, this is sort of their marketing pitch, I guess. One of the largest MUDs on the web with over 10,000 rooms. Now, some of the current most popular MUDs, for instance, Dragon Realms, I think boasts about 30,000 rooms. But still, 10,000 rooms, I mean, that's more rooms than I would ever go into, probably. And also, you know, this MUD, Valhalla MUD, has not, as far as I can tell, been all that populated, at least for the past 10 years. For instance, MudStats tracks stats for the past 10 years, and also the you can write reviews, and the last reviews for this game on mudstats.com were from 2012. So I'm not sure exactly why that would be or what might have happened around 2012 or what. But anyway, so it probably still had 10,000 rooms. Like, when was this all written? Might have been back then or even older. I'm not sure. Well, actually, there's dates on the FAQ we can look at. Anyway, over 10,000 rooms, over 100 quests. A strong and active builder group with a test MUD allows playing two characters at the same time. That's interesting. Multiple races. That's kind of a given these days, but a strong guild-based player training system. Players select 3 guilds to train in. Whoa. Players can rebuild their character into different races and guilds. You can rebuild your character into a different race? That's a trip. Unlimited player levels. That's a trip. How does that work? Player clans. Player killing is optional after level 50. And now, does that mean it's mandatory before level 50, or is it not enabled until you reach level 50? I think, well, in the FAQ covers that, so it is. Maybe I guess that just means you can opt out of it entirely once you hit level 50. I don't know. A strong newbie help system with formal newbie guides. I think that's true. You'll find the Valhalla players are the friendliest and most helpful players on the web. Well, that's good to know. Let's look at the FAQ. More stock images. The Valhalla FAQ. What makes Valhalla unique from other DikuMUD? So it's like they're competing against their own offspring. Like they made the code too easy to read and to modify, and they're competing against the other DikuMUDs. It's developed and maintained by some of the people who had originally coded DikuMUD. The Valhalla engine is designed, optimized for builders of the game to expand on. There's a lot of typos. On to develop the game as they like. In most DikuMUD derivatives, you are limited by having to make the code you put in work and not crash the entire game all the time. Steps has been taken to ensure that this does not happen in Valhalla. The game itself is shielded from the programs that the builders make for their computer-controlled characters, quests, and intelligence swords, etc. Well, that's interesting. More stable game. So they're saying we're better than the other games that are using our old code. And notice the dates on this FAQ are from 1997. So maybe that was the heyday of the game player-wise? I don't know. How long has this game been around? We are constantly developing. How long this game has been around is hard to answer. If data is to be mentioned, the game as you see it has been around since about 1993. I wonder if that was DikuMUD 2. I don't know. During the time it has evolved, various ideas have been tried out. Still experiment with new ideas. The game will probably never reach a final state. And this is true, as I'll describe, at least so far. In what ways can I connect to the Valhalla MUD? There are many ways to connect to the MUD. So now this page is there's actually nothing here on Enter Valhalla anymore. I don't think, oh, that's just a missing page. There is another Enter Valhalla page somewhere, which actually has nothing on it. Why can't my car be called D'Artagnan or Borgia? Characters you use for your name is limited to something that is relatively easy typable for others. Now, remember, the developers of this game were probably mostly Scandinavians. English not a first language. Their English is better than my Danish. You may call your character by a name that uses the usual ASCII characters. Anyway, what race should I choose? I'd forgotten I actually chose a race during character creation. It was so quick and easy. What is the deal about guilds? Guilds are organizations of people with the same trade. As you begin, you're a member of such an organization. So it's basically your class. Each time you earn enough experience points to raise a level, you may go to your guild and train in these abilities, skills, and spells. So you train at your guild. I did some auto training at a prompt, but that didn't use like all the XP I earned from like the second quest I did. So I guess I would have to go find my guild. The guilds are as follows, and then it doesn't list them, but I think, yeah, here's a list. Fighter, paladin, conjurer, sorcerer, healer, necromancer, thief, assassin. That's a good basic list, I suppose. Does describe a necromancer here? Necromancer or necro. Ex-clerics moved away from healing spells and no dabble in evil magic. Stories floating around, some have even raised the dead. Right. Oh, and then it has more details. Weapons, dagger, fist, scythe, sickle, staff. Well, that's pretty good. Spells. Blind, control undead. Is there a raised dead? There's a raised divine. There's a fart spell? Raise divine. Can raise divine target. Raise magic. Oh, well, that's not raising the dead, is it? Whoops. Now it's on different stuff. Okay. How does weapon spells and skills work? Blah, blah, okay. How do I get better / practice stuff? You practice your skills and abilities in your guilds. You mainly train in your guild. Okay. Where am I relatively safe as a newbie? Relative is the right word. If you stay close to Midgaard, where you start out, you should be relatively safe. Might even venture to take the trip to Midgaard, the larger city. I think I may have gone there on my second quest. I'm not sure now. Or maybe I started, I don't know. What is this clan business? Clans are designed to accommodate relatively small groups of people who want to join together for a common purpose. Clan benefits include a home, a tattoo, a secured clan channel, clan bulletin board, clan donation chest, and more. So to start a clan, the person who wishes to be clan master simply goes to Douglas, I guess that's an NPC, and uses the apply command. Application will be sent to the clan gods, who will approve it, write your clan home, and install it into Valhalla. Wow. There are communication channels. Can I kill other players? Yeah, here's the player killing thing. The Book of Blood is the one and only way a player will be allowed to PK on the MUD. Basically, after level 10, you go to the library in Midgaard and sign the book. Once you sign the book, you may never have your PK flag removed. Do not bother to ask the gods to remove it. There should never be an instance where a non-Book of Blood signer is PK'd or PKing. So you have to opt into player killing. And then you're in it forever, I guess. Except it did say in that About Valhalla page that it's optional once you hit level 50. How can I help give ideas, create zones, or otherwise expand the game? For small ideas, you may use the idea command, then the creator of that zone can view yours and other ideas when they log on. If you want to create zones all your own, you should contact the admin. You'll be assigned a sort of supervisor. Usually you should come up with a theme first so you can coordinate the efforts and avoid two people working on virtually the same idea. I'm not sure if this is still up to date. I mean, this is from 97. There's a README elsewhere that talks about contributing to the game, and I'll discuss that. And that README is certainly more recent. Who do I complain? There's a list of admins using the wizlist command. How to reward other players. Okay. Who's the admin? Blah, blah. How does godhood work? Usually the title of god is reserved for people that actively work for the game. Immortals are generally barred from interfering with mortal players and can be deleted from the game for doing so. When I try to connect to Valhalla with my Macintosh, the text turns to garbage characters after I enter my name and password. If you are using NCSA Telnet for the Macintosh, this happens often. Okay. More about NCSA Telnet. Can I buy the Valhalla software to begin my own MUD? Yeah, here's what I was talking about there. Go to the business section, and that is still here. It's basically saying like how much it costs, and it's hard to navigate. I'm not going to go there, but it's kind of funny. I doubt they're trying to sell it anymore. What does Valhalla MUD cost to play? Yeah, this is interesting as well. Valhalla is basically free to play, but we do appreciate your donation. That's cool. A donation allows you access, 30 or more per year will allow you to access all areas of Valhalla. Without the donation, your selection of areas is limited, but the game is still free of charge. Now that's, I kind of doubt that is still the case. That's an interesting concept. You're also able to show by bribing us into giving you certain benefits. Wow, that's weird. So I guess it was maybe always free to play. So I want to get the extra items, get power items, participate in the lottery. How do I pay? Use a credit card check or money order. So you send a credit card check or money order to this address, P.O. Box in Canada or in Georgia, USA, or you can email these people. I guess one of those is in Canada. So I guess their business main for this Blinksoft Consulting was running their business. In my chat with Michael Seifert, he said the game has been hosted in the USA, or Valhalla.com has been hosted in the USA since 1996. This fact was written in 1997. So I guess that tracks. If you're using snail mail, please use the Canada address. I wonder if these addresses are still applicable. The United States mail gets routed to Canada. Well, so that's probably at least partially outdated fact. Try to find my way back now. Okay, I think I made it back. Oh, this might be the... Yeah, this is... So they... I mean, is it DikuMUD? Is it Valhalla MUD? But then they were trying to sell this Valhalla MUD engine. In the source code, there's a directory called VME, for probably standing for Valhalla MUD engine. VME is not a Diku clone. That's a little confusing. I think this is probably a little out of date. VME download. The download link is at the bottom of the page, but I don't think it is. No. But there is still a way to get the source code. Pricing/order. So this is back in the day, I think, when they were selling these licenses. There's a free package, but it's limited to 3 players, 1,500 rooms. Enthusiast package no longer available. super enthusiast package, all at the low price of $99. Business license. Doesn't say how many rooms you get. Oh, unlimited rooms. Okay. Business license allows you to make money from your MUD. Okay. For a reasonable $899. Upgrades are free for the first year. And then you have to pay. Boy, I don't know if they do any of this anymore. Like, if I click this link, is it? I don't want to click that link. That didn't even work. Sweet. Well, I still got download links to the old thing. I think nothing happened. I don't know. Maybe it's downloading. No. All right. Well, that's all beside the point. So yeah, but now we're at DikuMUD 3. And why am I here? Well, this week I've been listening to a podcast. What the heck was it called? The Super Nintendo Exploration Squad podcast, made by folks from a web forum called, why am I blanking now? Selectbutton.net. And I was thinking, I'd listened through the whole podcast. I've never even really played Super Nintendo, but it was fun to listen to. And I was thinking about joining the forum. So I was looking at the forum at selectbutton.net, and they have a thread for screenshots. And one of the latest posts then was a screenshot of, well, that just blew my mind. It was a post by Daphne, who was also just known as Daphne, I think, in the appearances she made in the podcast. And it was a screenshot of this insanely dense UI for what I figured must have been a MUD. She didn't say what game it was. And if it said somewhere in the UI, my eyeballs were not devious enough to find it, but it was just so dense with text. But it was all these jewel-like, ornate, purple bordered windows that I think she had arranged in a custom fashion, but they were like 3 or 4 that were various levels of chats or whispers or shouts, and between her and other players. There were progress bars for spells in other windows. There were lists of spells in other windows. It was so incredibly elaborate. It just sort of blew my mind. And there was a readout of combat going on that was also extremely elaborate. There was a readout of playing. She was playing an instrument. Her character was playing an instrument, and that was an extremely I don't know, surprisingly text information rich display. So it was impressive, and I hadn't thought about MUDs for 30 some years. Yes, I'm old. And so I thought, whoa, MUDs. And see, I've been playing roguelikes lately, particularly ASCII text interface roguelikes, or ones that you can play in an ASCII interface, especially Angband and its variant Hangband, which are also old games. In fact, is Angband older than 1991? Maybe Angband might not be, but its predecessors might be. In fact, must be. That'd be mid-80s, yeah. Anyway, so this thought of, so I've been enjoying some of these old ASCII roguelike games, and so I thought, yeah, MUDs are text-based. Maybe I would be, I don't know. I just got curious to look at them. I kind of knew I'm not going to have the time to dedicate to a MUD. See, all of my previous experience with a MUD was back in the mid-90s, back when I was in college. And it was a friend of mine who was attending Seattle University, which was my hometown at the time, and his hometown as well. We had gone to high school together. In fact, our senior year of high school was this special program where we could take classes at Seattle University. He stayed on there to get a full degree. I went to another school, but so he had an apartment near the college, and I would come back and visit. And he had gotten really into a MUD called Genesis. Genesis is still going, and it's still one of the more popular MUDs. But this was the mid-90s, so it would have been a relatively young game at that point. And he got pretty into it, and I would come and visit him, and sometimes he would want to go play some Genesis, and he would, of course, invite me to play as well. And I would follow him over to the computer lab, one of the computer labs on the SU campus, like right down the block from his apartment. And I thought the computer labs were kind of a hoot. I mean, they were these old, now old just terminals, and you just sit down at a terminal, and it must have been all running through Telnet or some similar thing. And I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he must have been doing all kinds of, schemes with other players and doing all kinds of high level quests and who knows what. And I would sit there and make a new character and be poking away. And like really the furthest I remember getting is like finding an anthill outside the starting town or whatever, and just trying to level up my pathetic little level 0 character by engaging in life or death struggles with the ants who would keep coming out of this anthill. And I think it was a tough fight. I remember if I found a rat, I had to run because rats would kill me. But the ants I could kind of handle if there weren't too many of them. And so that is my MUD experience prior to this past week, when I saw Daphne's screenshots that sort of blew my mind. And because, of course, back in the mid-90s, there was no UI like that for a MUD. It was all just, very simple text, one line at a time. And at that time, I'm not sure Genesis is different now, but at that time, the server for Genesis was in Scandinavia. Because like DikuMUD, it was made by smart Scandinavian folks. And so it was a little slow to respond. And this was, of course, a slower overall internet back then. And I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, Genesis is still going, and now Genesis has a web interface. So it was one of the MUDs I looked at this week, and I just ended up going to, I think mostly to mudstats.com. There was some other list of MUDs I just Googled up, and just looking through a bunch of MUDs, I kind of obsessively, I guess I just wanted to see what was out there in the MUD world now. Of course, if MudStats is correct and there's 745 active MUDs, then that is a fool's errand. But I wanted to look at a bunch of the main ones, I guess. I'm not sure how I landed on Valhalla MUD specifically, because it is not, according to MudStats, one of the more, one of the bigger ones right now. But anyway, maybe it came up through a Wikipedia link or something. I'm not sure. But it was one I looked at. The first one I logged into and actually made a character on, I think, was Legend. It's got a longer name, but I think the main name is Legend. That one was easy enough to sign up for. It didn't require that you give them an email address. I decided that was a deal breaker. If the game required an email address, I would not go forward, because a lot of the fancier MUDs these days, like Dragon Realms and the screenshot that Daphne showed, I mistakenly thought it was Dragon Realm. She very kindly corrected me when I made the mistake of saying that in a different thread later. It was GemStone IV, which is run by the same company that runs Dragon Realms, and they share this same elaborate UI system. Actually, it's got like 3 different or 4 different UIs you can use to play the game. But that's their most elaborate one, and it works on both Dragon Realms and GemStone IV. They're set in the same world. Daphne told me that Dragon Realms takes place later. I think there was some dragon-related apocalypse or something between the 2 games. Anyway, Dragon Realms and Dragon Realms and GemStone IV do require an email address, so I didn't sign up for those. There's another big one, Realms of Achaea something. That has a very fancy website that requires email addresses. So I didn't actually try any of those. But what I could tell from the MUDs I looked at, even if I didn't try a MUD, I would look for screenshots or look for a video. And they all appear more or less to be based on similar, text output that comes up on your screen. So you can play them through an old, command line telnet client. You could play them through, a lot of them anyway, through a third-party MUD-specific client. Or a lot of them nowadays have their own custom clients, like some of the bigger ones. Or they have a web-based client, which you can also use. That Armageddon MUD, one of whose developers was in that Richard Bartle podcast interview on Roguelike Radio. That game is interesting because it's got a very fancy website, and it's apparently one of the more popular MUDs these days, according to MUD stats. But it does not have a web-based interface or an interface you download or anything. It appears to be old school telnet, and I think maybe they've done that because or left it at that because they do have this emphasis on role play, this pre-hack and slash era MUD emphasis on role play, and they so they don't want some jerk like me logging in through, just clicking on a web link and going and rampaging around and speaking out of character and, making a complete goofball of myself and spoiling the role play that's going on. So I can't blame anybody for that, certainly. So this Legend MUD was the first one I logged into. It didn't require any elaborate email address giving or any big hoops to jump through to make characters. That was pretty cool. But it did have this sort of elaborate thing where you pick from multiple starting locations, and it was kind of a turn of the century, 1800, 1900s setting, I think. And I picked a Middle Eastern starting setting, maybe kind of an Arabian Nights thing. Maybe that's what I had in my head. I don't know. So I started out in some, city, and I had no idea what to do. And if the game was attempting to guide me along as a newbie to, some kind of content that would break me in, I completely overlooked it. So, I wandered out into the streets. I was just wandering around the street. There was a cat, and I pet the cat, and the cat was friendly, and that was cool. But the cat didn't tell me what to do. There was a little puppy running around, and I was kind of scared of the puppy, so I didn't try to pet the puppy. There were some people wandering around, but I think they were, just NPCs, and I didn't know how I would do anything with them, and none of them tried to do anything with me as far as I saw. So I just felt lost, so I just logged off. I also tried Genesis, the current Genesis, the game that my friend had been into back in the day, and it's got a fairly elegant web interface now, so that was cool. It's got a kind of elaborate character creation where, among other things, and it doesn't require an email address, which is good. it asked you, for instance, to pick 2 adjectives that would describe your character, and I think these are probably used. This is what other people see of your character when you come into a room they're in or something. And there's a lot of edgelord ones like mysterious or stuff like that. But there are some that didn't make you sound like a jerky edgelord, and I tried to go with those. But in Genesis, once you've created your character, you start in a very much a newbie zone, and I think it calls it even like a tutorial park or something. And you see this ASCII map, and you're on this hill, and you're just in this little park-like area, and that felt weird to me, and I just it didn't seem interesting. And obviously, I'm sure you can take type in 5 letters and you'll be off on some grand adventure in the main game world. But I didn't know how to do anything like that, and I just felt like I guess just uninspired by this being in this just outright tutorial thing. And it was like you can step through this portal and do more tutorial stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I just I guess I just logged out at that point. That didn't grab me. But the one I actually ended up playing a little bit was Valhalla MUD, despite, or maybe because of, I don't know, this Web 1.0 website with missing image links and stuff. It had a very straightforward character creation. It did not require an email address. I'm going to click enter Valhalla here. And I just liked the sort of colorful, quirky text. I mean, it's using different fonts here, even though it's still just a web output. I mean, somehow they pop up a graphic. So I have to log in. So my name is Zergaz. I don't know. That's just what popped in my head. What is my password? That's a good question. Oh, I think I remember. This game, Valhalla.com, is not an HTTPS address. It's old HTTP. No encryption going on. That's why Firefox is warning me that somebody could steal my Valhalla login password. Oh no. So I managed to log in. So you see this map that the game generates for you. Well, it generates your position. There's this sort of shorthand down here in the at the text prompts. I'm not sure if those are sort of coordinates or what. And it's a little distressing because, well, not distressing, but see, you see these people coming and going all the time. I don't know if Psy was a character or an NPC, but they cause the text to scroll. I've been playing roguelikes. Roguelikes are turn-based. You don't have stuff happening when you're not doing anything. So I think probably ultimately roguelikes and turn-based stuff are a little more my old man speed. But I don't know. I am fascinated by the text interface of MUDs. The map here is interesting. You can double-click it and pop it out. Now this is obviously some kind of pre-generated bitmap graphic, I guess. So it can't be getting that just based on the text output that's coming in or the text input I'm getting from the game. So that must be some more direct kung fu it's doing with the game server itself. But it might be getting my position on that map and my position in the world from the text that's coming in. Well, that's interesting. I don't have that text here anymore. Last time I logged in, or at least some other time I logged in, I had previous text here from the guy who was giving me quests. These buttons here, undefined. I thought these did things before. Oh, score. I'm a 198-year-old male elf, so I did pick elf at level 2. Good alignment. That's cool. I'm protected citizen. I'm not sure what that means. What does HE help? Oh, you know, there was something else. I think at the very beginning. Yeah. Anytime before level 6, just type, whoops. See, something just made the text scroll and I lost my, say help me newbie guide. So let me try that before I lose. Say, oh, I can't type. Gosh dang it. Okay, I suck at MUDs because I can't type. A portal opens in front of you. Marvin steps out of the portal and it vanishes. Marvin shakes your hand. Marvin says, I heard your call for help and I came as soon as I could. I noticed that you have not done the newbie guide tour. Would you like the tour or do you need more help? Just say tour for the quest and say help for assistance from me. Well, that's interesting. I don't actually want to do that. Thanks, Marvin. Say no thank you, Marvin. Maybe later. I'll give him a smiley. I don't think he's going to parse that. I think Marvin is just going to hang out here for a while. An anonymous man leaves south. That's strange. What if I type look? Village square. I'm at the small village square of Midgaard. Temple is located just north of here. Is that where I came from? The village road continues both east and west. South of here is this small village marketplace. A large map of the various parts of Valhalla hangs on the wall. Marvin the newbie guide is here helping Zergoz. That's me. Boldin the Wise is here. Look at... Now that must be a player, right? As Banoviz the dwarf. Look at map. Map tells you how to travel from the square in Midgaard to the city of Midgard. Ah, this is a map that that Boldin gave me. Yeah, and you see the directions there. You type in directions to move around in this game like you do in pretty much all MUDs. So you would type, you don't actually have to type out south, you can just type S, for instance. So to get from Midgard to Midgard, you type south, east, north, which takes you through the cypress forest and so forth. That gets you the town gate, the dusty trail of Midgard, or just outside it. Try typing directions here. So, but this is kind of an example, and this is what happened. So I came into the game. I created my character. I think I started... Did I start south of here? No. Anonymous looking man. Now there, anonymous is not misspelled, so what the heck? Was that somebody impersonating an anonymous man? No. Now it's misspelled. What the heck? I don't know. Maybe you do start in the village square. If I type directions or direction, oh, that's cool. It kind of tells you where the exits go. I guess this must be where I started. Well, what happened is I came into the game. I had created my character. I had no idea what was going to happen. I came into the game, and there was this weird guy just standing nearby who, while I was sitting there just trying to see what my options were, he started talking to me. And he was doing that here, too. Boldin the Wise sighs loudly. Boldin the Wise exclaims, "Ahoy there, traveler." So when I first came in, Boldin was there, and he was like, hey, can you help me with something? I was like, whoa, this guy's talking to me? I knew it was an NPC. I'm not sure exactly how I knew that, but it was fairly obvious. He wasn't acting like a player, and he was doing some kind of scripted thing. But that was, and I just found that engaging. And he was like, look, if you can help me, just nod your head by typing nod, and I'll fill you in on what you could do for me. And so obviously that's a tutorial like thing, but it's not, you're not in some very formal like tutorial area. The game is not telling you this is a tutorial. It's just this guy talking to you. And so I thought that was cool. And all you have to do is nod your head. And then he basically, he wanted me to go a couple doors down to buy him some bread. And I mean, who wouldn't? And he gives you the money, and he's like, you know, you can keep the change. Just bring me back the loaf of bread. And you know what kind of jerk wouldn't help out a dude with that? So I said all right, and he gave me the money, and before I knew it, I had a quest. Um, so that got me playing the game, and then his second quest was using that map um, to go, and he gave me a copy of the map, and he gave me what the game called a barrel, and he said, well, can you go to Midgaard, and you there's an obelisk in Midgard, and you fill up the barrel with the water from the obelisk and bring it back, because I really need to drink that water or something. Which I was like, okay, well, that was much more ornate and elaborate, but I managed to find my way there with the map. I had no directions of where to go in Midgard itself, which worried me because it was a fairly large city. The game popped up in the main window, ASCII. This is Hugin the Raven of Thought. All is well throughout the land of Odin. You know, I saw that before. But in Midgard, I just kept going along the main road, following it east, and it got me to the town square of Midgard, and there indeed was an obelisk, and I filled up the barrel because water was at the obelisk, I guess, and and then, you know, the interesting part was from there you had to reverse your directions and reverse the map directions, and to get back to Utgard, where you had to give the water to Boldin. And this was when I had clicked that screen reader link to log in, so I did not have the map. Oh no, now I'm lost. I did not have the map. So I was like, man, if I don't get these reverse directions right, I'm just gonna be like lost forever, like 2 steps from the newbie zone probably. But I managed to get back and gave him the water, and each time I did one of these little quests for him, I got rewarded with a bunch of experience. So at that point I leveled up to level 2, and it told me I could type. I think I typed skills auto to train. So I guess these are the skills I have. What if I type like train? Cleave? No. Train is not a known command. Skills cleave? No. I have to practice first. Practice cleave. But see, I think I would have to go to a guild. Yeah. Oh, practice auto or find a teacher. You can find a teacher in Utgard if you're a beginner, or you can find your guild teachers. Use your guild medallion that you get from the statue of Odin to easily get to your guild. Wait, is the statue of Odin? No, that's right. I started at the temple, so I have to go north. Or do I have, what's my inventory? I'm carrying a barrel. That Boldin gave me the barrel. The map to Midgard, Boldin gave me that. The fighter's handbook, so I must be a fighter. I must have chosen fighter at character creation. A bread. Oh, because did I buy 2 breads at the bread store? Or no, I think I just had that bread to start with. That's right. A bottle of green Tuborg. Look. Green Tuborg. Your mouth begins to water as you look at the cool and refreshing bottle of green Tuborg. You feel an urge to drink it as soon as possible, and at the same time you are convinced that it will bring you new energy. It doesn't exactly tell me what it is. Can I just like, what is green Tuborg? No. So use your guild medallion that you get at the statue of Odin to easily get to your guild. Okay, well, I think if I go north to the temple, you're inside the small and humble temple. Yeah, this is where I started. A single stone altar with a strange stone carvings is placed against the north wall. A small humble donation room is to the east. Temple exit is south to the village square. A statue of Odin is standing behind the altar. A sign for newbies is here. Read sign. I don't think I read this before. Attention newbies. Valhalla runs the latest release. Generally update. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. DikuMUD MUD engine. It keeps calling us different things. Anyway, we are now integrated with Discord. Many of our comm channels provide real-time two-way dialogue between Valhalla and Discord. Wow. Feel free to join the community with the following link. Now, I have been to the Discord channel. You've been automatically enrolled in the newbie comm channel. To chat with players both logged into Valhalla and on Discord, simply try typing newbie hello to Valhalla and Discord. Valhalla offers both an automated newbie guide tour as well as a quest-based newbie experience to help you get started. The quest-based newbie experience starts one room to the south. That's where I went and I talked to Boldin, but I hadn't read this at the time. So I felt that was just totally organic and it was cool. The automated guide will take you through Midgaard to show you some places you might find of interest, after which he will reward you with some experience for your progress. At any time while you're level 3, 4, or 5 and have not completed the newbie quest, simply type help me newbie guide wherever you are. Well, I typed it at level 2 and it still worked. The guide will respond if he is not busy helping others. Otherwise, try again a few minutes later. That's interesting. That's what I wanted to talk about. I'd forgotten. I knew there was something. So, this morning, it occurred to me that maybe I should see if I could find the Diku source code. Because, for all I know, this website could have gone down overnight or tomorrow or something, and then I wouldn't be able to play the game. So if you just Google, DikuMUD 3 source code, I think it was the first hit, is they have a GitHub code repository for it, made by one of those original Copenhagen ComSci students, Michael Seifert. And what is this Nikolai shouting about? And he, while I was sitting there trying to I downloaded the source code from the repository, and there's a very clear README with clear step-by-step for compiling it. I tried that, but I was just using, what's it called for Windows? The Linux-like environment, Cygwin. It's a free Linux-like environment for Windows called Cygwin, but that could not compile it. There were all kinds of errors that came up. But while I was messing with that, a new update to some of the code popped up in the repository on GitHub, which was like, oh my gosh, he is actually working on the game right now. And I had already seen that he had made a bunch of code check-ins in recent days. So, one of the original students who put the game out in 1991 is still just working on the game. And that's amazing. That I think automatically makes him one of the coolest guys in game design. And he was doing it right then. So I thought maybe I should go to this Discord channel, which was also mentioned in the README that's on the front page of their GitHub, and just let them know that it didn't compile in Cygwin. So I popped over to the Discord, and I saw some comments in that channel. It popped me into the Diku 3 channel on their Discord server from a guy named Pappy, who appeared to be the admin and appeared to be likely to be Michael Seifert himself. And he was logged in. So I just, I said, thanks for working on the game. I tried compiling it, following the instructions in Cygwin, and it generated errors. And a few minutes later, Pappy replied and he said, hey, looks like you're probably running Windows. And he said I took notes because I was never going to remember. He uses he builds and runs the game in Windows using WSL2. And I had to look up what that was. It sounded vaguely familiar. WSL is Windows subsystem for Linux. It's Windows's or Microsoft's thing now to make themselves seem cool by letting you run a Linux distribution in Windows. I'm not sure how well it works overall, but it works for Michael Seifert, so that's cool. And if you just Google, WSL2, you'll get to Microsoft's page, and it looks, they make it look reasonably straightforward to install. Who knows? But he also reassured me that Valhalla.com would be running, would keep running, and he's very dedicated to it. And he's always updating it with the latest code. He said it was gonna be down briefly today, while he updated it to the latest code. So that was cool. So I don't feel compelled to have to compile it myself because he's already running it for me. So I'll just log in here. But that's good to know that there is probably a pretty dependable way to compile it if I ever needed to. And it was just cool to talk to him. He was extremely patient. He answered all these, silly questions I fired at him. And just seemed like a really cool and helpful guy who was just interested in, it was 91. So, 31 years later, he's still really dedicated to working on this game. That's amazing. It's just amazing. And he's so dedicated. He's, polite and very nice to some, gosh darn noob who shows up in his Discord and asks all kinds of stupid questions. So thank you, Michael Seifert. That was very nice. And it's great. Your dedication to this game is really cool. And it's good to hear that Valhalla.com is, in good hands and going to keep going, and I'll be able to play this game. Now, I'm a horrible newbie, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I started the third quest from Boldin. So I brought him back his water, and he started telling me about, hey, you want to help me with something else? I was like, oh, man, I don't know. And he was like, see, something about like a goblin or something tormenting his cousin's farm. And at that point, it was like, oh, boy, I don't know. So I logged out at that point. I had to go do some other stuff. Anyway, but I may try to go do that now. So let me go back to Boldin. He's back in the town square south. Is there like a quest command? Yeah, Boldin's cousin ongoing. Go see Barnham in the farm. Oh, this is cool. So it tells me basically what I need to know. Go see Barnham in the farmstead north of a dusty trail between the cypress forest and Midgaard. Oh, so I have to go back through. I have to follow the directions from the map back to Midgaard. Boldin's request ongoing. Help Boldin and Midgaard with various quests. So yeah, find Boldin water complete. Find Boldin bread complete. Okay. So I still have the map that Boldin gave me, so I can read map. So start at the village square. That's where I am now. So I'm going to have to get to the dusty trail. So it's north of the dusty trail. So to get to the dusty trail, I am going to type southeast, southeast, east, north, east, north. Okay. Okay, well, let's do it. So south, east, south, east, east, north, east. Oh, wait, I screwed up. What the heck happened? I went south and then east, and then what did I do? I typed south. I couldn't go that way. Well, I do have the map now, so I can kind of see where I am. Well, I screwed something up. I'm not even sure what. From the square in Midgaard, that's where I am, to the city of Midgard. Start at the village square, right? Oh, travel as far as you can to the east. That's what I screwed up. I'm a moron. And I will arrive at top of hill. So east 5 times. East. Can I just do like east? What if I do like 5 E's? No. What if I do east, 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 east? No. I only did 1 east. All right. Top of hill. Okay. So this is the map of the forest. Yeah. So now, southeast, south, east, east, north, east, north. Hey, there was somebody else in the forest. I wonder if that's a player. Oh, he's gone. Oh, that's a raven of memory. Did he leave? I guess. Yeah. Oh well. Edge of the cypress forest. The dusty trail around the city walls of Midgard is visible to the east. So I have to go east. And then this farm is north, but there's no north listed. Go see Barnham in the farmstead north of a dusty trail between the cypress forest and Midgard. Oh, there is an exit north, but it's not shown on the map. See, it's listed under obvious exits over here, down here in the lower right of the UI. And it's also listed in just the description of the area. Wild black boar. So let's go north. On a dusty trail. Gravel, sand, and dust makes this desert-like trail, which leads north from the path ultimately connecting to the city of Midgard to the east. So now there's no map here. And Midgard, far away to the west beyond the cypress forest. As you travel to the north, the well-traveled becomes less dusty. Well, okay. And more firmly packed. The trail continues to the north, where some distance away you can make out a farmhouse. Traveling south from here will turn you to the dusty trail west of Midgard. So obviously I'm going north. On a well-worn trail, the gravel and dust that had greeted you to the south give way to a darker and richer soil, which make for a well-packed and easy-to-travel trail. West of here, a cheery farmstead looks welcomingly onto the trail. Okay, so that's to the west. Rich fields extend beyond it to the cypress trees, which make way for hills rising beyond. A rocky outcropping prevents travel to the east, while north of here the hills give way, and you can just make out the entrance to a cave. Travel to the south will return you to the dusty trail west of Midgard. So I wonder if I'm going to have to go to that cave to root out this goblin thing or whatever it was. But I have to go to the farmstead, so that is west. Outside Barnham's farm, Barnham's barn, you stand before Barnham's farmhouse, a small haven sitting at the edge of a large field that extends beyond it. It is a well-constructed home with amenities to support the operations and maintenance of the property. A small farm cart rests along one side of the front door. Beyond, in the distance to the north and west, some hills rise up, obscuring the horizon. Away to the south and east, you know, lies the city of Midgard. That's interesting. Oh, I know that. I guess this is only one way in here, huh? Okay. So I guess I'm going west again. Barnham's farmhouse. A simple decor furnishes an otherwise relatively nondescript farmhouse. So I just walked in. Table with 2 chairs, stone fireplace, side table with drawers, not too much else. A wooden ladder leads up to a door through which it seems there is an attic. To the west, a door leads out to the farmyard. The east is Barnham's entry. Farmer Barnham is here. Farmer Barnham says, "Hello, Zergaz. Boldin wrote me to say you'd be coming." Well, it was that passenger pit? I'm afraid to say it, I could use some help. My son Bernard went exploring and has not returned. What's more, it appears those nasty gremlins, okay, not goblins, gremlins, have invaded. For generations, we have seen one or two periodically attack from their... Who's we? Your whole family? From the cave to the west, yeah, the cave. Gazes fearfully out the window. This appears to be entirely different. I fear for his life. Do you think you might help? Well, why... I mean, when Boldin couldn't go 2 doors down in town to get himself some bread, I figured... You know, he had some serious medical condition. But what's your excuse, farmer, for not trying to go rescue your son? Or I don't know, I guess maybe he's old? It doesn't really say. Look, Barnham. Farmer Barnum strides about, clearly agitated. Despite his immediate frustration, deep smile lines surround his eyes. Wielded a simple hand axe, worn on body leather jerkin. I wanted to look at myself too. Status. Zergaz the Elp. Guildbath is Midgaard fighter. Freshness fighter. Strength 7, Dex 7, Con 7, Charisma 4, Bra 4. I don't know what Bra is. Mage is probably magic. But would Bra be Brawn? Not a known command. But I have a strength. I don't know. Div is like divinity. Div 4, hit 10, 50/50. Your combat dexterity is 7 as a result of your armor. You have 4 remaining skill points and 4 ability points. 4 skill practice points. You are in brave mode. Status weapons. 10% hand axe, impossible. 5% longsword, utterly hopeless. 10% dagger. I think I have to type equipment. So I have an axe. I have an earring of battle. Look, earring of battle. Earring will transport you to Midgaard upon the command home and while worn. Oh, well, so I didn't have to do reverse directions to get back to Midgaard from Midgard. I just type home. That's interesting. I have boots. I have a fighter's sleeves on my arms. I have a fighter's breastplate. Odin's medallion. So I do already have the Odin medallion of guild transport. Look. Medallion. Quite large. Small copy of the statue of Odin set in its center. To use the medallion, you must be in Midgard. Oh, so I have to be in Midgard. Simply wear the medallion and then return guild, where guild is fighter thief, blah, blah. That's cool. If you're in your guild and wish to return to Midgard, type return Midgard. Will take you to Midgard. So in your guild, does that mean like if you're in a different city or if I'm anywhere and belong to a guild? But I could type home with because of my earring, and then that'll take me to Midgard, and then I can at any rate type return fighter, and that would take me to the fighter guild, I guess. Well, that's handy. And a small wooden shield. Okay, so Barnum has kept talking to me here. He really wants to talk to me. He really wants me to nod to agree to, what was his deal? Just nod your head and I'll give you the detail. This appears to be, he's fearless for his son's life. Could I help him save his son? Nod your head and give me the detail. All right. I'm not as sympathetic to you, Barnum. But, I guess we'll do it. Thank you. Okay. Speed it up here, Barnum. Wow. See, turn-based roguelikes, they go as fast as I want them to. While I live a humble life, I am descended from great adventurers, Barnum says. It must be their blood that sent Bernard off. Return here with Bernard in tow, or with evidence that he will not return. Okay. Reaches over to the drawers and with a deft move opens a false bottom, lifts an object from the drawer, unwraps its cloth covering. Zergaz, this has been handed down to me for use fending off invading gremlins, along with that old chest of who knows what in the attic. It is my sole inheritance. Barnum hands you a gleaming longsword. Okay. Is that going to be better than my axe? Through my door here to the west, you will find my fields. Bernard carries a dagger that once gleamed as that does. I pray it will protect him. Beyond the fields, a path should lead to the caves. Well, I think I could get to the caves just from the road, or did that not connect? Use the command open west door to identify and open the appropriate door. Farmer Barnham, watch out when you're tangling with those gremlins. By the way, I'd start with the troublesome ones to see how you get on. The vicious ones really are vicious. Use the consider command against your enemies to measure their difficulty, is the hint. Okay, am I going to remember that? Well, should I go check out this chest in the attic? Say, what's in the attic? I don't think that's going to work. Ask Barnham about the chest. Ask Barnham what's in the chest. He's not going to tell me. I think I can just go Lul. Yeah, that's good. I can go up. Lul is not a known command. I want to know what's in this chest now. It's closed. Open up door. Okay, up. Barnum's attic. A dry and dusty smell tickles your nose as you climb into the attic. Seems that Barnum has maintained his roof well. As despite all the rain this area is known for the... Well, what about that dirt, rich dirt I was walking across? I was wondering if that would just become mud, but oh well. The space free from moisture. There's been a couple typos in this newbie zone. A range of artifacts that seem missing words. A range of artifacts that seem somewhat out of place for a farmer are scattered through the space. A door leads back down. Oh, that reminds me. The README on the GitHub says it lists like ways you can contribute, and some of them were like, you know, working on zones and stuff, and I guess just doing that. Well, was it directly through the source? I'm not sure. Anyway, various things you could contribute, which would, you know, probably be kind of cool. The door leads back down. So a range of artifacts that seem somewhat out of place for a simple farmer are scattered through the space. Open chest. I don't see a range of artifacts, I guess, but I see a... What if I do look? It'll just repeat that one. So I'll just open chest. Look in chest. A sturdy chest, an adventurer's gloves, an adventurer's boots, an adventurer's leggings, an adventurer's jerkin. Now I have a pair of leather boots. Look, leather boots. Look, pair of leather boots. Now are those boots I'm wearing? Examine adventurer's boots. I don't have leggings. I don't seem to have clothes. Examine clothes. Look at clothes. At adventurer's gloves. Oh, is it? Look at an adventurer's gloves. Gosh. No. Look an adventurer's gloves. Get adventurer's gloves. Gloves. G-loves. Get an... Do I have to capitalize? An adventurer's adventures close. No such thing here. Get chest. Get items from chest. A sturdy chest here. Do I have to enter chest? No. Get boots. Get jerkin. Get jerkin with 1K. Get an adventure. So I don't think, maybe we're not meant to get maybe we're not meant to get this stuff. Maybe it's just to show us that Boldin was an adventure or had a forebear who was an adventure. Because there's nothing I don't already have mainly. Gleaming longsword, but I have in my equipment list, I have an axe. So what if I wield longsword? Wield gleaming longsword. Unwield axe. Put axe away. Sheath axe. Ah. Use gleaming longsword. Oh. So wield gleaming longsword sounded like it would work, but I have no free hands. Put axe in pack. No such thing to put stuff in. Put axe away. Well, heck. I don't really just want to drop it, but I don't know how to not wield it anymore. Carry axe. Help inventory. Oh. Contents of your containers. Where, use, look, equipment. Help equipment. No. Help wield. Okay. To start using weapon, you must use the wield command. If the weapon is two-handed, you must have both hands free, else your right hand must be free. Weapons that can be used both with one or two hands are normally wielded one-handed. If you specify the keyword two after the weapon's name, you wield it in two hands. Okay. To wield two weapons, you must hold the second weapon using the hold, help, hold command. Help remove. This command makes you stop using a given item, which must be in your equipment list. Okay. Remove axe. That's a weird way to put it. Stop using an axe. Okay. Wield. Was it gleaming? Long. Lenog sword. Yes. Oh, I feel nimble. I feel more buff. I feel more skilled at the longsword fighting style. I'm possible at fighting with the gleaming longsword. Help. Your skills. Weapon skill. What was the command that can I What did I do to get that list of... Oh, jeez. Weapon skills? No. Dang it. Skills. Just skills? Arg. Status skills? Oh. 50% consider. Oh, no, that wasn't it. But status weapons. 10% hand axe, 15% longsword. So I think my longsword went up. And my strength, well, it said I feel more buff, but my strength was 7 before, I think. Right? It said I feel more nimble, I feel more buff, more skilled at longsword. Yeah, so my longsword ability went up 5 or 10%. My strength and dex both went up at least, I think, a point. Well, that's cool. It still says my combat dexterity is 8 as a result of your armor. So does that mean my armor reduces it? I guess I could try taking it off, but I don't really want to do that. All right, well, I didn't get anywhere with this chest. Let's go down. Open down door. Why did I close the door behind me? I guess I didn't want Boldin seeing what I was doing with the chest. Down. So what did he want me to do? Go west? Yeah. Look W. You see closed door. Open door W. It's already open. Okay. West. Door seems to be closed. Open W door. Okay. Outside Barnham Farm. Large well-kept field, rich, the soil, moist from, so it is moist. Well, anyway. Simple well outside the farmhouse. Way to the northwest, a trail leaves the farm and winds into the hills. The door to Barnham's farm lies to the east. So northwest is a trail. Can I type either north or west? Is that what that means? Look N. North, Barnham's farm. Look. W. West, Barnham's farm. What if I do NW? I cannot go that way. Well, I have, okay, north. On Barnham's farm, a small anvil sits under a covered shed here where Barnham works to maintain the tools of his trade. There's a large Grumpkin. A vicious gremlin has arrived from the north. Now, what did that tip tell me? Way to the west, a trail leads into the hills. A troublesome Grumpkin. Oh, wait. He told me, or that tip told me to avoid the vicious. Use consider command against your enemies to measure their difficulty. It said avoid the vicious. Or start with the troublesome. Well, I went and saw Barnham. Seeking Bernard, I guess, is what I'm supposed to do. What, beyond the fields, a path should lead to the caves. Consider Grumpkin. You got to consider Gremlin. Perhaps you would have time to flee. I have a fair chance of fleeing if I fight the troublesome Grumpkin, maybe. Oh, he left west. What if I go west? He smirks at me. What if we kill Grumpkin? Here we go. I lacerated his legs elegantly with my gleaming longsword. He screamed in agony, bumped my stomach clumsily, mangle it, screams in agony, knocks my stomach simply. My gleaming longsword glows. So it glows when he hits me or what? Oh, I killed him. I received 176 experience points. My blood freezes as I hear troublesome Grumpkin's death cry. Well, they didn't gang up on me. What's my status? Am I down 10 hit points? What's the 40 out of 50? It says hit 10, 40, 50. I don't know what that means. Another troublesome Grumpkin left east. Kill. Troublesome Grumpkin. Okay. Yeah, my hit points are down. Uh-oh, they're way down. You strike. Troublesome Grumpkin, simply strike your hand competently. That really did hurt. He's mortally wounded. Are we still fighting? Oh, I guess he's dead. Did he take a minute to bleed out? I guess he's dead. Look. Corpse. Crops. Oh, get copper pieces. Oh. Get copper pieces from corpse. Oh, yeah, it works. So maybe I could have gotten that stuff from the chest. If I could find my way back to the farmhouse. Where was that other one I fought? That was, I came east, so it must be west. Is there, okay. Look, corpse. Get copper from corpse. Sweet. Okay, now where am I? West end of Barnham's Farm. So I want to go east. There's an axe for some wood chopping. South is an entry to Barnham's farmhouse. Okay. Open up door. Up. Open chest. Look in chest. Get gloves from chest. Look gloves. Flying gloves appear to have been well used by adventurers of years past. Wear gloves. Or I probably, oh, whoa. Your adventurer's gloves magically resized to fit you perfectly. You start using adventurer's gloves. I feel more skilled at the longsword fighting style. I feel more skilled at the dagger fighting style. Status. Weapons? Longsword is now at 22%. Dagger's at 16%. Okay, so I need to get all this gear, obviously. Get boots from chest. wheel or wear boots. Remove boots. Wear adventurer's boots. I feel faster. Well, I'm back to 50-50, so I guess I healed up. I'm not sure what increased with my speed. Oh, my speed is 150%. Holy cow. Get leggings from chest. Wear leggings. I feel stronger. Strength is up to 10. That was +2. My combat dexterity is 0 as a result of my armor. It was 8 before. What the heck happened? What the heck? I don't know if that's good or what. Get jerkin. What? Oh, yeah. Get jerkin from chest. Wear jerkin. Oh. So I guess I would have to take off my breastplate. I'm not sure how I can tell what the breastplate is doing for me. Like, I don't know what my armor class is, essentially. Remove breastplate. Well, see, I'm not having that combat. Combat dexterity is still 0 as a result of my armor. I don't know how to tell what difference the breastplate made. What if I wear the jerkin? Well, what if I wear the breastplate? Then what does it say? That didn't say anything. Wear jerkin. I feel dexterous. Dexterity went up too. Well, I guess I'm going to use this. So now I have all this old armor in my inventory. I don't know if I've read the fighter's handbook. Well, maybe I did. I think I did. I can't type. Yeah, I think I did. I can just type I for inventory or EQ for equipment. I have a dictionary where I can define more. Whoa. I can type KS to kill skunk. What? Okay. Read chapter 2. Consider a rabbit. Tell me how dangerous it is. Okay. Oh, this tells me where to go farm opponents. How to get to the Hayon Door Forest as well as the Cypress Forest. West 3 times from the village square to get to the Heian Door Forest. Both locations are ideal for beginners. Once in either forest, find a rabbit, a skunk, a badger, or a fox. Use a shorthand aliases. Now read chapter 4. So this is what beginning fighters are supposed to do, just go to the forest and fight badgers. Yeah, there's a Say Help Me Newbie guide. He can be quite boring. You have to be in the temple of God. I wasn't in the temple. I was in the town square, I think. Score. See, I should go or visit my guild because I am level 2. You earn experience faster by being in a group with other players. That's interesting. I'm not in wimpy mode. I'm in brave mode. Reduce the risk of dying. If you lose your equipment, I think that's when you die. You can always pray to the statue of Odin in the Temple of Midgaard. It will grant you new equipment for that which is lost or missing. Help Wimpy. Change Wimpy. Change between Brave and Wimpy. When you're Wimpy, will flee whenever death is near. There's no XP penalty for being Wimpy because fleeing is a skill you can practice. But you only gain half XP, it said. I'm confused. There seems to be a conflict between the advice I'm getting from the Fighter's Handbook and the advice I'm getting from the wiki. Well, I don't know. Where am I? I'm in the attic. Look in chest. I suppose I could put this now useless gear I have back in the chest. But I guess I'll keep it. Who closed the chest? I bet if I go down, that's closed too. Open the door. West. Open W door. Whoops. Where am I? I'm still in the attic. What? Oh, I just opened the door. Open W. Open W door. West. Okay. So here's this vague thing, northwest of trail. Well, let's go west. A large grumpkin. Kill gremlin. See, now I'm super buff, right? He's dead. Look, gremlin. Oh, look, corpse. Get copper. Get copper from corpse. Jeepers. Autosave. So inventory and status don't tell me how much money I have. Purse? Oh, yeah, purse. I guessed a command. Your purse contains 10 copper pieces, 7 iron pieces. What's the exchange rate there? Okay, so... farm... Okay, north. A vicious gremlin. Let's go. There's... Okay, kill troublesome gremlin. Well, he's dead. Look, corpse. Get copper from corpse. Who all's here now? Rotting corpse. I think I can take this vicious Grumpkin. Kill Grumpkin. I guess I should be ready to flee. Is flee a command? Uh-oh. Where did that take me? Travel is possible only along a trail, both the east returning of Barnham Farms and west towards the hills. So did I just go west? Yeah, I just went west. Kill Grumpkin. Consider large Grumpkin. Oh, dang it. Probably out of your league. Consider vicious gremlin. Very good chance of fleeing. That doesn't sound great. All right, well, let's just go west. Small path. Recent travel, trampled bushes. And turns north to march into the hills. Got some Grumplin and Gremlin, Grumpkin. Rocky terrain, loose footing. A worn out water sack. Get sack. Get water sack. No. Up to the north, there's a cave which can be seen opening into darkness. I guess we're going north. It's funny how all these Grumpkins and Gremlins aren't fighting me until I fight them. I guess this is still newbie stuff. Relatively large cave to the west. 3 or 4 men could... Okay, yeah, cool draft. Acrid smell. Group made camp here. Food and drink picked through by crows. So I guess I'm going west. Junction in the cave. It still isn't doing any mapping here, which is interesting. Dank. Cool air. Two paths leading deeper into this cave. One to the south, the other to the west. Kill. Trouble. Gremlin. So I can kill the troublesome ones, no problem. I'll get copper from corpse. I'm rich. Oh, there's another one. Stunned, but will probably regain consciousness again. No, kill it. Is it gonna kill it? Do I have to say kill again? I guess I did. Yeah, I just straight up stabbed an unconscious gremlin. I'm cool with that. Capital A, troublesome gremlin's corpse in the middle of a sentence. Okay. What was the deal here? So 2 paths leading deeper, one to the south, the other to the west. Well, let's go west. Oh, cool. Kill troublesome gremlin. See, I was typing troublesome on purpose because I didn't want some other gremlin, like a large gremlin, to show up like one just did, and then accidentally fight that and get crushed. Kill troublesome Grumpkin. Oh, I fumbled my sword. What? Okay, get it together. I ruptured his chest. He's incapacitated. No, kill him. Examine. Now, there are multiple corpses, so how does this work? 2 copper pieces. Get copper from corpse. That was from the troublesome Grumpkin, but what about the troublesome gremlin? Examine troublesome gremlin corpse. Examine corpse of gremlin. Nothing. Corpse of Grumpkin? Huh. So that was the first corpse that didn't have any money on it. Okay, so north or east? I came from the east, so I'm going to go north. Another junction point in this maze of caves opens up. Dark and dank. Sounds come from everywhere, nowhere. Nowhere. Another typo. The slapping of feet, the scrape of things being moved around. You're not alone in here. Cave splits to the north, east, and south. Well, I came from the south. It's no longer clear. Well, great. Now it's a maze. 2 large Grumpkins and a vicious gremlin. Oh, there's a kill troublesome Grumpkin. Okay. Look, corpse. Get copper from corpse. All the gremlin. Oh, I'm going north then. Kill troublesome gremlin. Remains dumped here. I can now raise a level by using the level command. Raise a level. Practice auto. Okay. Status skills. Status weapons. Well, that longsword didn't change. Yeah, I guess that didn't get raised when I did some or practice auto. Neither did hand axe. Human remains. This may be all that is left of Bernard. Well, how long has he been gone? Am I gonna have to carry these back to his dad? Oh, good. Can't take him. So this is a dead end. Well, that's gross. Okay, northeast, south. I don't remember. I'm lost. So it narrowed. Okay, I hadn't been here. Let's go east again. Opens into a larger cavern. Okay. We'll kill troublesome gremlin. Kill it. Getting less experience, I suppose, because I'm higher level. Look, corpse. Get copper from corpse. Let's go north. Inside the cave. Continue south and east. Gofflaw, the greatest of Grumpkins. Very risky indeed. There's a sign. No treasures here. Definitely no treasures here. Don't even bother searching. Even if you looked at the wall, you wouldn't find any signs of treasure. Signed, Gofflaw the Great. Hint. Try look wall here. Can you look wall everywhere? Look at the wall. The wall is made of piled rocks as if they were placed here intentionally. I wonder what a more careful search the rock wall would reveal. There's a lot of typos. Search rock wall. Gofflaw doesn't seem to care that I'm doing this. As you search, you discover a rock wall. Examine rock wall? What? Oh, there's a new exit now. That exit to the east wasn't here before. No, it's closed. The blood demon yells, I am fed. Yikes. Open east. Open rock wall. I opened the rock wall. East. It worked. Hidden room. After entering through the hidden door, it's clear why this was a secret. It appears to be a treasure room where the Gremlins, Grumpkins, and their ilk have stored generations of loot and trinkets. Piled rocks sit against the east and west walls. To the north, there is a pile of weapons and armors, likely taken from the fallen. Weapons, gemstones, and other valuables are scattered about. Exit to west, a small but sturdy chest. Well, what if I just do like get gemstones? No, that was just empty text. Okay, a small but sturdy chest. Open chest. Open the small sturdy chest. Look in chest. That once gleaming dagger. Uh-oh, was that the kid's dagger? Bernard's dagger? Get dagger from chest. Examine dagger. Well, I guess we're supposed to think that the kid is dead. Because we found some remains. And now we found a once gleaming dagger. How did it get disenchanted? So it talked about gemstones and weapons and armors, but all I can actually get is this dagger in the chest, this tarnished dagger. That's a little disappointing. Get treasure. No such thing here. Get rocks. Examine treasure. Examine valuables. All right. Well, here's Gofflaw. So how do I get out of here now? West. Maybe someday I can come back and kill Gofflaw. South. Kill troublesome Grumpkin. Oh, I took a little hit. Kill him. I wonder if my blood ever stops freezing when I hear their death cries. I mean, you know, get copper corpse. Get copper from corpse. Okay. Went south. So west. West. There's that blood demon again. Okay. North was a dead end, maybe? Yeah. Kill troublesome Grumpkin. Look corpse. Get copper from corpse. So I came east. Now I can go east or south. Oh, I'm at a junction. I don't think I ever took the south one. Southwest. No, I didn't. Dead end. Well, I guess that's straightforward enough. Well, I guess I've explored this whole place. So let's get out of here. Give Barnham the horrible news. Kill troublesome Grumpkin. Oh, there's two of them. I got hurt. I got hurt again. But I killed one. The other left. Get copper from corpse. Ooh, those corpses start rotting fast. Which way was I coming from? Okay. West goes into the hills. North is a fence. East is the farmhouse. Oh. Another troublesome Grumpkin to kill. I could probably take the vicious ones now, but I don't know. No point in risking it. Status. Little injured, I suppose. My strength and dex are up to 11. It doesn't say how much experience I have. I thought it did tell me that somewhere. Oh well. Oops. Oh, he left. Dang it. Ah. Whoops. No, that's right. Open E door. East. Give dagger to Barnham. Oh, he's crying. Wait, he said that twice? All right, man. What are we going to do here? Please, I can't bear to keep it. Is he giving me the dagger? Turns the dagger to me. I can now raise level by using level command. Quest completed 1,000 experience. Return to Boldin. Word is he could just use just a bit more help from you. Turns away, taken by his grief. Well, that's sad. Level. Practice auto is probably an inefficient way of leveling up. I train fleeing. Train armor, soft leather. That's interesting. I train hit points. Hit 13. All right, well, I think I can just type home. As you attempt to use the earring of battle, it suddenly dissolves. Home is not a known command. Oh. So much for that idea. Well, the earring of battle didn't work. How about Odin's medallion of guild transport? That one. No, I have to be in a guild or in Utgard or Midgard for them. I thought I was in the fighter guild. Well, I'm a little confused. I guess I gotta walk back to Midgaard, though. Okay. Am I going east? I think I'm going east. Giant worker ant. Consider ant. Out of your league. Are you mad? Well, actually, I should go open W door. Kill troublesome gremlin. Another one. Getting less XP, but they're going down a lot faster. Get copper from corpse. How about if I do corpses? If I do that twice. No. Okay, here's a vicious gremlin. Kill vicious. Oh, wait, no. Consider vicious gremlin. Town crier. Very good chance of fleeing. Well, that sounds good. So kill. Oh, well, there's a troublesome one. Get copper from corpse. Kill. Oh, he left north. Kill vicious gremlin. Well, that guy went down fast. I got a little more experience. There's a rusty sword. Get rusty sword from corpse. Look, rusty sword. Short sword fighting style. Quivering horde of maggots. A large grumpkin. Use ease. Let's go consider large grumpkin. Quite a risk. So I can take on the vicious, but not the large. Barnum's carrot field. Kill vicious gremlin. He's dead. Another rusty sword. Get copper from corpse. Drop rusty sword. Kill troublesome gremlin. Get copper from corpse. kill troublesome Grumpkin. No, kill him. Get copper from corpse. Okay. Just butchering things now. All these corpses. So it said dig. I dig up a carrot. Nothing special. Dig. I don't think you get hungry in this game. I mean, I've been slaying stuff for a while here. I'm not sure time passes per se in that sense. I mean, you heal over time. Maybe a carrot, if you ate it, would give you some hit points. Kill vicious Grumpkin. I got hit pretty good. Oh, I got hit pretty good again. But he's mortally wounded, so he's gonna die? I don't want to type kill vicious Grumpkin again because there is another one. I don't know what to do. Well, the other's left. So now I'll type it. And he's dead. I'm a little wounded. 4 copper pieces from the vicious Grumpkin. So I want to heal before I mean, this is just a troublesome Grumpkin. I could probably take him no problem. Oh, he hit me. I'm almost dead, but he's dead. You wish your wounds would stop bleeding that much. Yikes. Down to 6 hit points. What if I eat my carrot? Hey, that healed me a bit. I still feel thirsty. I didn't know I was thirsty. Wasn't there a well around or something? Look, barrel. Maybe I should go to Midgaard. Oh, I guess I should. I'm right outside Midgaard, basically, once I get off this farm. Alright, I think I'm done fighting these Grumpkins and Gremlins, because I just almost died just now. Where am I? Part of the west is Barnham's farmhouse. Well, we're going west. I think. Wait a second, how big is this carrot field? Can I just keep doing that? No. Did digging it up not give it to me automatically? I cannot. Okay, drop. What was that other stuff I had? So my inventory is full. Drop. Boots. Okay. The boots exploded? That's weird. Is that just some kind of auto cleanup? Weird. More carrot field. Get carrot. Is my inventory full again? Yep. Drop. Drop boots. I guess I could drop the breastplate. Breastplate exploded. Kill troublesome gremlin. Well, there's no point in digging for more carrots because my inventory is full. And I don't have much more to drop. I have 3 carrots. I could drop the axe since it didn't buff me. Look, axe. Dig. Drop axe. Get carrot. I have a torch. I wonder if I could use that in the cave to do anything. Oh, well, I do have this bottle of green Tuborg that I could have drunk. But maybe that's special. Let's go south. Okay, I've obviously been here. West. Which way am I going? Farther west is Barnham's farmhouse. Shoot. I'm lost in the carrot field. South. Strong fence opens a wide gate here leading to the south. Okay, I think that's the way out. Kill troublesome gremlin. Sure, I'm leaving a lot of dead bodies in his fields. South is the entrance of the farmhouse. Okay. Worker ant. South returns me the dusty trail of Midgaard. So I still don't have a map. Oh, I'm not back there. There I am. There's the map. So if I go into Midgaard, so I just go on the main street, Market Square, fill barrel from obelisk. Wait, maybe this wasn't where that. No, large. Look, obelisk. Water pours from the pyramidal top, runs down all 4 sides, eventually collecting in a depression at the base. The obelisk appears to be made of pure gold, and here engraved here, and you see the names of women and men. To look at them, you should look names. Cinnamon buns. Pookie, the first friend of Valhalla. Okay. Wow, that blue text is a nightmare. How do I use... how did I do this before? Get water from obelisk. I did that. Look barrel. If you were to find a source of water, you could pour it in. At the obelisk in the market square of Midgaard, pour obelisk in barrel. Well, that's intuitive. That makes no sense, but okay. So I have water into a barrel. Drink water from barrel. I drink a barrel. Am I thirsty? How would I know? Status, hunger. What if I just... well, let's look barrel. So I guess it's empty again. Well, okay. Let's get out of here. So, well, I guess I could kill a badger. Look corpse. Well, I guess you just get XP. Read map. So now reversing these. Wait. Oh, so I guess I do have to go west 1. Okay. So now I'm at the edge of the forest. So south, west, South Pig Boy. West, west, north, west, north. Top of hill, so now I just go west. And I'm back to Boldin and that weird anonymous man. Yes, he sees I have returned. I'm truly saddened by the news that has reached me. Oh, Bernard will be deeply missed. Yeah, that's pretty sad. I can level again. So practice auto or find a teacher. I'm level 4 in the Midgaard Fighter Guild, so he wants another quest. I want to go to the guild, so medallion, return fighter. Magic starts to build. Tower outlook. So I'm in the fighter guild, apparently, according to that map. See all of Midgard. So I'm in Midgard? Oh. I thought it was in Udgard. Well, I guess I didn't have to go through that forest. Sir Arthur the Guildmaster. Title to get a new title if you deserve it. Do I deserve a title? Midgard Fighter is now your main guild. Request a guild title to switch main guild. I have to attain a higher level before I can receive a new title. Okay, well, thanks. Look south. Look east. Look west. Look north. Okay, well, talk to Sir Arthur. No. Say hello. Look, Sir Arthur. Seasoned fighter. Well, down. Opening in the west wall leads to the guild entrance. Heavy looking door set in the north wall. Fighters Guild Yard. I guess that's not what I wanted. How about heavy looking door? Metallurgic laboratory. One silver coin to appraise my. I have 43 iron pieces. How many silver pieces is that worth? I don't know. Give the item in question to Kleena for an approximate evaluation. That's the metallurgist. Give dagger to Kleena. Excellent workmanship. I can detect a strong enchantment. Okay, so that cost 8 copper pieces. I guess I have to remove. Well, maybe not. Remove gleaming longsword. Give gleaming sword to Kleena. A weapon of amazing workmanship. Extremely strong enchantment. Okay. Well, I guess that's cool. Oops. So I went through the heavy looking door. I don't want to go to the guild entrance to the west, so east. Oh, what's east? A broken shield, a bar. Bring me the head of the male griffin from Wharton's. I don't think I want to do that yet. I want to find somebody who will train me. Ah. No idea. Okay, wait. Sir Lancelot, the weapons teacher. Well, that sounds good. The ability teacher. Well, that sounds cool. Why isn't it showing me where I am? All these teachers, but how? Arg. It's not showing me where I am here. Or how to get to any of these teachers. Am I still in the guild yard? I don't know. I came from... I moved south, so to the north. The gate entrance is to the north. That's where I was. If I go south again, in a large barn... Well, here's Sir Robin. Wait a second. So that was it. So I'm in 836 in the middle there. So he's the skills teacher. I greet Sir Robin with a light kiss on his cheek. Well, that was weird. I guess he might not have seen that coming. Maybe that's why he was nervous. Well, he doesn't seem to want to do anything with me. Train? Practice? Oh, Sir Robin asks, what do you wish to practice, Sir Gaz? Practice longsword? Never heard of such a skill. Skill weapons? Practice. Cleave? I don't know. I do not know how to teach this skill. What skills does he teach? I mean, I could try dual wield. Yeah. Practice whirl. What skills do you know how to teach, dude? Never heard. Oops. Not dual wield. Dual wield. No. Okay. You must be unaffected by magic, else I can't teach you. So, does that mean I can't have magic stuff on? Uh-huh. Uh, All my stuff is magic. Let me just strip down. I still have my sleeves. Oh, I do have a shield. Practice shield. Oh, I need 10 strength, and I don't have that without my magic stuff. Well, heck. No, I'm at strength 9. Nope. I see. So they don't want you to have your stats raised by magic. Sheesh. Practice. Knee? I guess I train knee. 10%. And I can't do it again? Yeah. Practice armor soft leather. I don't know what that does. I mean, well, maybe that would make it so my movement or whatever wasn't, my dexterity wasn't affected by the armor. Practice fleeing seems practical. Practice search. Practice swimming. Or how about practice consider? Practice. Oh, it didn't raise fleeing a ton. I guess I should get some climb. I wonder what does having kick do for me, really? Oh, I did practice elbow. Oh, I can't train any evaluating. Well, let's do armor soft leather. Use all my points. Sweet. Okay. Now I have to wield all my stuff again. Oh, where? Set it. Yes. Okay. So, West is the ability trader. Ability teacher. How did I... ability. So he's asking about abilities. not skills. What is an ability? I have 8 ability points left. Ah. Ah. Man, this is weird. It's a little cryptic. So I have 8 points left. So I could practice, if I had points, hit points, strength, charisma, brain. But I do not have practice points. Were those the same points that I used on skills? No, it doesn't seem like it. Because under status, it lists them separately. Well, I can't raise any abilities, apparently. How would you get a list, though? List is short for listen. Brain is an ability. All right, well, here's Sir Lancelot the Brave, the weapon teacher. Train longsword. Practice longsword. Requirement, kill level 15. Wow. I don't have any practice points anyway. So I called that skill points. Skill practice points. You have 0 remaining skill points and 8 ability points. You have 0 skill practice points. That's confusing. Man, you need some high stuff to do a lot of this stuff. Although, so I'm, doesn't even say what level I am. How do I know what level I am? Well, I guess I did stuff. Worship. You fall down worshiping all that lives and walks on the face of earth. Oh, that's interesting. So here I am in Midgaard, I guess. Blacksmith weapons, healer's guild. Holy moly. I can't even tell what part of this I'm in. Okay, I'm south of the main road. Cypress Forest River. There's a pet shop. May light the shopkeeper. A pet shop boy is here, humming gently. Can I hum? No. Birds, dogs, cats. Read sign. Use list to see what is in store. Buy pet to buy pet. Sell pet to sell a pet. Request item to ask the price of a pet. And value pet to make the pet shop boy evaluate a pet. Oh. There's a spider cage, a lizard cage. These cost gold pieces. But are those, like, is it 3 gold pieces or 2? No, that doesn't make sense. Or 2 silver pieces or 2 copper pieces or 2 iron pieces? No, it must be 3 gold, 2 silver, 3. Oh, man. This currency is insane. So they've got cages and crates. Are there any pets? By request cat, request kitten, request puppy. Well, request spider, request spider cage. So maybe they don't actually have any pets right now. By spider. Well, this is weird. Puppy cage. Huh. All right. Larry, one of the gate's guards, looks quite bored. Say hi, Larry. Look, Larry. Oh, he left west. Look, Larry. Greet Larry. Oh, like kiss on the cheek, right. Cloaked in a tabard bearing the Midgaard coat of arms. Larry leaves west. Gosh dang it, Larry. Well, he's going my way. Beastly Fido. That didn't work. Oh. These guards are crazy. So I don't have a quick travel to see if I can just find my way through on the map. Yeah, there's a badger to kill. Poor badger. Yeah, I guess that's easy enough with the map. Oh, there's another badger to kill. Jeepers. And another. The badger is dead. The badger is dead. Sigh. So, Midgaard is smaller than Midgaard. The chickens rest? South goes to Cypress Forest as well. So Boldin has another quest to give me. It it looks like. He hasn't told me to nod yet. Oh, he's elderly. I see. Well, what if I nod? And so another adventure begins for Zerga, says Boldin. Beyond the east gate of Midgaard lies a crossroads. South from the crossroads, seaside town of Torsbay. A rogue has landed on the shore. Find this rogue and mention my name. He will know what to do. Okay, well, I think that's all I'm going to do for now, but that's cool. Find the rogue in Torsbay. Now, will I remember how to get back there? I have no idea. How will I know? I have no idea. I mean, I guess I could come back to Boldin and he would probably explain it again. I could, oh wait. I don't know if I can do that help me newbie quest thing now. Well, what level am I? I saw something before that told me what level I am. Zergoz has pointed ears and a fair complexion. I'm a protected citizen. I guess that means you can't attack me. Who is Nikolai? I guess he's probably not here. Tells me my guild path, but yeah, I don't know how to tell my level. Oh, I typed guild. A member of Fallen Guild, Midgard Fighter, level 4. Well, I guess that's it then. So I suppose I can be in multiple guilds at once, maybe. Okay, well. Exit. Quit. Hey, there's a dragon in ASCII. Goodbye, friend. ... Come back soon. My connection was requested terminated. So that was a bunch of Valhalla. I got sucked into that, didn't I? Killing Grumpkins and Gremlins. Anyway, well, that went pretty well. I almost died from fighting too many vicious Grumpkins or whatever. But I didn't die. And I have all kinds of magical gear. And I'm level 4. And I found the Fighters Guild. And I got a bunch of carrots. Which I guess can heal me. Slightly. And, yeah, I don't know. That seemed cool. There was, let's just go back to the home page. Information desk, help files, no. More information, art gallery, no. Maps, map of Valhalla. Midgaard to Erland areas. So Midgaard is in the middle. I see. Cypress Forest? Okay. This was made in 1999. So I've covered this area. There's the, well, that's not the farm. It doesn't show the farm on here. It's somewhere here. Oh, you can't see my mouse cursor. I forgot. Um, uh, it doesn't show a forest south of Midgard. It shows a boat bridge. I wonder if some of this has changed since the map was made. I mean, I haven't checked that out, but the map in Midgard seemed to indicate there was a cypress forest south of Midgard. And there was that place I'm supposed to meet the rogue east of Midgard. I don't recognize those. Was it one of those names? I don't remember now. Orcs, Skaven, Elfdom, Green Dragon. These are rough levels very greatly depending on guild and other factors. So I guess all these red areas are these sort of light red, not a very clear, easy to mistake 0 through 10 and 50 plus. But I guess all this area is mostly low B area unless you go all the way through the forest west of Midgard. Then you're into 10 to 20 level areas or even up to 30 level areas. There's death swamps past the moors north of Midgard. Some higher level stuff to the south. So I guess the 50 plus stuff is over to the, at least according to this old map, over to the northeast. Now I wonder if there are many more areas added since 1999. You would think so. Or 2000. Here's another one. Basically the same. Rat's Wharf. I don't. So that shows Thorsby to the south. That, I think that sounded like the quest I was supposed to do, but this doesn't show a Thorsby. It shows a Thorbarden to the north of Midgard. Rat's Wharf. No, there isn't a whole lot of agreement between these two maps. And that shows farmland east and southeast of Midgard. I am very confused by these maps. Well, possibly parts are outdated. Well, that was some Valhalla MUD, aka DikuMUD 3. I did. How many quests did I do? They sort of blended together. Well, no, I guess I mostly just did the one that was all pretty much Boldin's third quest, and I spent a lot of extra time just massacring Grumpkins and Gremlins. I guess I was having fun. So there you go. I was not able to find any videos of this game on YouTube, so this may, once I get it posted here, be the only Valhalla MUD video on YouTube, which is sort of a shame because I'm a horrible newbie and I have no idea what I'm doing. But I guess that's what we'll be stuck with until I maybe I'll inspire some much better and more experienced players to give us some much better videos. Anyway, thanks for watching this, and if it all seemed interesting despite my horrible bumbling and mumbling and so forth, check out Valhalla.com. Try jumping in, and it's pretty easy to get started, that's for sure. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and good night.